Hey you guys, it's Britt. Tonight we're here with another update on the channel All In with Ari. This is, I have to place a trigger warning because I'm going to be talking about the documents that have been released regarding her child, and it is quite upsetting, some of the things that are outlined in this document. So of course it's going to be dealing with child abuse, child endangerment, injury done to a child, and I know that that's very upsetting, but it's important for this to be discussed so that people know who they're donating to. And until she comes out and owns this, I think that it's still going to be discussed as it should be. So if you're in a place where you can listen, please keep watching. All right, you guys, so these documents are credit to the channel. I want to make sure I get it right. Scott Schaefer. He has a channel here on YouTube, and these are documents that he released. To my understanding, he is the first one to have released them, so I'm going to give credit to him, and I will also link his channel down below. But I don't want this video to drag on and on and on, so we're just going to go over the documents. I'll share them with you. I'll give my thoughts, which I'm sure most of y'all can predict how I'm going to feel about this, but we're going to see exactly what the details entail. So let's just get right into it. I know that Ari has come out and sort of addressed what's going on, like the whole "is she scamming people" she has addressed, but what people really want to talk about and what they want to hear from her is the issues surrounding her child. Now, she's tried to say that she was going to work her way up and talk about this. In my opinion, allegedly, what she was going to do was create this persona. She had no clue that people would figure out who she was, and she was just going to start anew and think that people would not discover who she really was. And if they did, she would have a storyline made up, but I don't think that she thought it would happen so quickly. And that's why she's kind of scrambling and not able to address everything, because she doesn't know what to say. Like, what do you say to these allegations and things that are outlined in this report from CPS? What do you say to that? In my opinion, just simply using some common sense, these are not injuries that a child could inflict upon themselves at the age of 4 months old. At the age of 4 months old, you're not going to have a child doing this to themselves by some kind of weird accident, and that's just my opinion. Please tell me if I'm wrong. There have been some people going to my other Ari videos and saying, well, why does it matter? Why does it matter what she did in her past? Her future is so bright and she just needs a little bit of help, and so on and so forth. That's totally fine if that's how you look at her, but I will tell you guys, as a reminder, if you don't know what I do on my channel, I discuss influencer culture, and a lot of influencer culture is half-truths, lies, scams, being dishonest, being entitled, being greedy, snapping at subscribers. So for me, I just think that it's really important for that transparency to be there so people know who they're supporting. Many times if you go to an influencer and ask these questions, your comment is either ignored, blocked, or deleted. So there's really no other half of their channel. And with so many of them making such an insane amount of money, the subscribers deserve to know who they're really supporting. If you're supporting someone who has a really bad past that they try to run from and haven't addressed, you should at least know about it, bare minimum. So this document starts out with the mother and father's name. Obviously, Ronnie is Ari. That is her actual name. That was discovered a few days ago. On February 15, 2014, the following report was received by the hotline. AV is a 4-month-old, and some of this is redacted to maintain the privacy for the child. Blank lives with his mother, Ronnie. Blank was brought into Conway's Regional Hospital's emergency room. The mother stated that she thought Blank was having an allergic reaction to something. Blank's right eye was swollen and the right side of his head. The doctor did a CAT scan to check and discovered a skull fracture and a small blood bleed. Maybe that meant brain bleed. I'm not sure. The mother stated that blank fell 10 days ago off a mattress onto the floor. The child was a little fussy after the incident, but nothing else had occurred until today. The child is currently headed to Children's Hospital in Little Rock by ambulance. So that's what we talked about in my last video. The child had to be transported because of the extensive injuries that he arrived with. They had to transport him. In my opinion, anytime you arrive at a hospital and they cannot take care of your injuries there, that probably means that it's at least somewhere in the middle as far as being an advanced set of injuries. It's just not a good sign to me when, even if you're in a small town, if your injuries were not substantial or worrisome, you wouldn't be transferred. Usually you're transferred for trauma, some sort of, specialist that they need to take a look at you. Like, it's pretty involved, and that's just my opinion. So it goes on to say, LaTanya Griffin was informed by FSW Lisa Smith that a call had been made the child abuse hotline in regards to an infant with a skull fracture that was hospitalized at Arkansas Children's Hospital on Saturday, February 15th. It was at that time that FSW Smith contacted the hospital and spoke with the social worker on staff, Tamara Belton. From that conversation, it was decided the hospital would contact DCFS once the child would be ready for release from the hospital. FSW Griffin was notified at 5:40 p.m. by telephone that blank was medically ready to be discharged from the hospital. The call came from Tamara, the social workers at Children's Hospital. FSW Griffin arrived at the hospital at approximately 8:30 p.m. She was met in the lobby by the social worker. The social worker disclosed that the mother was not aware at this time that DCSF would be taking custody of the child. FSW Griffin was taken to the 4th floor and placed into a room to await the parent. FSW Griffin met Ronnie Spur, blank's mother. Ronnie was brought into the room by the social worker. At this time, FSW Griffin explained to Ronnie that the agency would be taking a 72-hour hold on blank due to the injuries not matching the mother's explanation of how the injury was obtained. So that's the whole thing. Her explanation initially, it was an allergic reaction of some sort. Then she gives the information that he fell off of a mattress onto the floor. So those two don't really coincide for me. Those don't really make a whole lot of sense. Usually when someone comes in with something that is really surface level and something really innocent, and then they give something completely different that is not even closely related to the first situation that they disclosed, to me that's a huge red flag. And I'm sure that these people who have tons more experience dealing with these kinds of situations, millions of red flags were going up for them, I can only imagine. Ronnie began to cry, stating that she forgot to tell the doctor that blank had been on a thin blanket at her grandparents' house while they watched him last week, and maybe he thrashed his head on the hardwood floors. The social worker stated that she did not believe it was possible for blank to give this injury to himself. Tamara then called the child abuse doctor who examined blank. Dr. Shulhayes put on the speakerphone. Tamara asked the doctor if blank could have caused this injury. By what Ronnie was telling them, the doctor stated that the location of the skull fracture was on the right side, not consistent with a back and forth thrashing of a child laying on the floor. The doctor also stated that with the size and significance of the injury, it is not possible that blank could have caused this injury to himself. On February 16, 2014, at 10:30 p.m., due to the concerns of the safety and well-being of the child, so basically that 72-hour period of time went by, and obviously there were there have been other documents that have come out already aside from these, kind of outlining the custody and things like that. And here's the thing, and I'm going to kind of echo what Scott said in his video. Anyone who wants to defend her and say, oh, well, she's not allowed to see her child, that's not true. Because according to the most recent custody paperwork, she is allowed to see him. It just needs to be supervised visitation. And it's sort of interesting because when I heard that her visitation had to be supervised, to me, that kind of sent up a little bit of a red flag. Why does everything have to be supervised? Usually there's something that happened that made the courts decide anytime this parent is with the child, it has to be supervised the entire time. And sometimes it can be something more lighthearted. And I know that courts get it wrong. Trust me, I know that. But with this, in between what I was seeing currently on her YouTube channel, combined with the things that were coming out regarding her son and the custody issues and her background, just all of that put together for me, I just saw it from a little bit of a different seat. Now, what I want to say to close this video out is, for all the people that are posting Bible scriptures and stuff over on her comments saying that God forgives and Jesus will forgive anything, I'll tell you one thing. I'm not a super religious person, but I feel very confident in saying that God and Jesus do not appreciate when people hurt their children. God and Jesus do not like to see any children injured, and for damn sure not at the hands of their own parents or caregivers. So if y'all want to say that she's forgiven for other things that are not as serious, fine, but she needs to really come out, and she's got some explaining to do. And I know some people will say, oh, well, everyone can explain things at their own pace and blah, blah, blah. And I agree with that a lot of times. But with this is really, really serious stuff. And I think that it was uncovered way before she even thought that anyone would figure out who she really is. She probably thought she'd be able to make it on YouTube for a year, 2 years, maybe even longer before anyone figured out who she really was. I don't think that she was even remotely prepared for things to unravel this quickly. And of course she's going to say she was going to talk about it because now it's been exposed. What else is she going to say? No, I wasn't going to talk about it. Literally, there's nothing else for her to say except, oh, I wasn't ready to talk about it. Oh, I wasn't ready to talk about, these very serious allegations with some substantial proof outlined in these court documents that she is allegedly mistreating her child and not taking care of him. She does have 31 patrons right now. I wanted to check and see if the number had gone up or down. It's only fluctuated a very little bit, but I think that she just kind of thought, there's no way that if I come out with this name that anyone is going to figure out who I really am, where I'm really from, so on and so forth. And she's probably completely caught off guard. But here's the thing, and I will close with this. As I've said before, most people can look past a lot of stuff and have the stance of people change, people move on. But this was not that long ago. And when she was doing these things, she was a grown adult that was put in a position to take care of a child, and she did not do that. So this is not something where she was caught stealing a car when she was 17 years old and now she's in her 30s and she's a different person. To me, I just can't look past it. I think that she needs to talk about this. I know this would never happen, but I would love to interview her. Don't get me wrong, I know it's not going to happen, but just to be able to ask her some of the hard-hitting questions that people really want to know more about, she really needs to own this thing with her child. You can say, oh, coulda, shoulda, woulda. It's out now, and it needs to be addressed because it is really, really bad. These are really serious allegations, and, it's just bad. She needs to talk about it. So before I babble for too long, if you like the video, please leave a like in the comments. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.